All right, solving inequalities. We're going to be doing one steps again, but we're going to use addition, or instead of addition subtraction, we're going to use multiplication and division. Okay, so the only thing we need to remember is that if you multiply or divide by a negative, you got to flip the symbol. The inequality symbol. Okay. So if you multiply or divide by a negative to solve it, you got to flip the inequality symbol. So if you started out with a less than, you divide by -2, then your answer should have a greater than in it. Okay, it's going to flip that symbol around every time. Okay, so nothing really complicated about how we solve those. We're going to solve it. We're going to graph it just like we did yesterday. Nothing different about that. So let's just start with something easy like x over 4 is greater than 5. How do we get x by itself? Multiply by 4. What kind of 4 is that? Positive. So do I need to flip the symbol? I do? No, it's not a -4 that I'm multiplying by. It's +4. So I leave the symbol alone and get x is greater than 20. And then I go over here and put that on a number line. 20 in the middle, 21, 22, 19, 18. What goes above the 20? An open circle, and this one should go toward 21 or toward 19? Toward 21. It's greater than, so this direction. Okay. Not too hard. Pretty easy. So we had 5x is less than or equal to -45. Oh. As long as the variable's on the left, that's true. If the variable's on the right, it doesn't work that way. You know, yesterday we flipped them around to the variable's on the left. Yeah, you can use that rule of thumb that if the variable's on the left and it's got a greater than symbol, it's kind of pointing toward the right, that means it's going to go toward the right. That's the way I. Yeah, and that as long as the variable's on the left, you can do that. Now, when we get to the compound ones, you got to think a little bit more because the variable may be in the middle, not on the left or right, so it's a little harder to do that way. So I always think about it with the number instead of the which direction is it pointing. How do we solve this one? Divide by 5, and that'd be -9. Do I flip the symbol on this one? What did I divide by? 5. I didn't divide by -5, I divided by +5. It doesn't matter what I divide into, it's what I divide by. So I divided by a positive, so I'm going to leave the symbol the same. The only time you're going to flip that symbol is if you multiply or divide by a negative. It doesn't matter what's on the other side. It's what you divide by. It's what's with the variable. Okay. Flip that symbol around. Yeah. All right. So we get that number line. Straight it all. All right. So -9 in the middle. What goes to the right of -9? Yeah, and to the left would be -10, -11. Open or filled in? Filled in. And it's going toward the left because it's less than. All right, pretty easy. No, it doesn't get too much harder. Let's say we had x over -3 is greater than or equal to +10. What do I do to solve that one?
Multiply by -3.
Multiply by -3. So if I multiply by a -3, what do I do to the symbol? Flip it around, and then just work that out. 10 times -3, -30. All right. Now, that on a number line. -30 in the middle. -29, -28, -31, -32. Filled in above the 30. Which direction? Left. One for numbers that are less than -30. That'd be -31 and -32. But anytime you multiply or divide by a negative, flip that symbol. So we had -6x is less than 24. What do I do to solve that one? Divide by what?
-6.
By -6. Be -4 on that side. What symbol goes between it? Greater than. Flip it around to a greater than. And then -4, 3, -2, -5, -6. Above the -4 is a open empty circle going greater than that, so it's going to go toward the right. Okay. Bless you. Bless you again. Okay. Questions so far? All right. Let's say we had 3/4 x. You knew some fractions were coming. Is equal to, or is less than or equal to 9/16. Okay. The reciprocal, which would be 4/3. I'm going to cross cancel here because it can. And I end up with x is less than or equal to 3/4. Should I have flipped that symbol? No, I didn't divide or multiply by a negative, so I don't flip that symbol. Now, this is where we got a little bit of freedom on the number line. You're going to put 3/4 in the middle, and then 1, which is 4/4, and then 5/4 would be the next one. To the left, 1/2, that's 2/4, and then 1/4 for that kind of comment. So above the 3/4 would be a filled in circle left because it's less than. Fractions involved really don't change anything. Just doing the same work as we did back in chapter 3, solving equations. We just got the inequality to deal with. So the only difference in solving an inequality versus an equation is that if you multiply or divide by a negative, you're going to flip the symbol around. The thing about an equal sign is you can't flip it. It's the same direction both ways, so it's equal. But with the inequalities, you got to flip that symbol around to make that work. Really don't get any more difficult than that, guys. For real. I mean, the fraction problems are the ones you're gonna, maybe let's do one with the decimal in it, just because we need to, probably because we don't. For some reason that makes us nervous too. That used to not make people nervous. I don't know what it does now. But no, because if you change 1/3 to a decimal, you can't write enough threes down to get because it's 0.3 repeating. That's why you don't want to change fractions to decimals. Decimals to fractions is okay, but not fractions to decimals. One, like if it's a mixed number. Okay, let's look at one that's like that. So we get fractions and that involved. So let's say we had x over -6 is greater than 1 3/4. You said, what if it's a mixed number like that? So what do we need to do to that mixed number? Make it an improper fraction. That's right. So that'd be 4 times 1 is 4 plus 3 would be 7 over 4. So you multiply the big number times the denominator, add the top. And now what do I do to solve this? Multiply by -6. I'm going to make that -6 over 1. So that'd be 2, -3, it'd be -21 over 2. What symbol goes between that and the x? Less than. It flips it around. And leave it as an improper. Don't give me answers that are mixed numbers. Leave them as improper fractions. Okay. Put that on a number line. 21 over 2. It'd be -20 over 2, which is -10. -19 over 2. -11. -23 over 2. Okay, so I'm just adding 1 to the, increasing the numerator, and then simplifying the fraction that exists there. So it'd be an open circle. Go in left or right? Left in this case. Some fractions are okay to turn into decimals, but there's a lot that aren't. So the better thing to do is just don't turn any fraction into a decimal, just because you're going to have to work with fractions anyway on some problems. So by the time you've turned one of them into a decimal, you probably could have already worked the problem if you just learned to work with them. So that's where we get with that. All right. So this is what we're doing today. We got about 6 minutes till lunch. It's your assignment to work on after lunch, or start on it now and then finish it up after lunch, is on page 366. Doing numbers 3 through 26 and 30 through 33. Follow the directions. It says solve the inequality and graph it. So you're graphing those on a number line, each one. If there's decimals in the original problem, it's okay to have decimals in the answer. If there's not decimals, then if it doesn't work out nice, fractions. Okay, so there will be some that will work out kind of nice, and some that don't work out as nice because they're just the numbers that are involved. Okay, all right.